All right, so section 8.1, all about ratios and proportions. And so a ratio of A to B is when A and B are two quantities measured in the same units. All right, so it's got to be both in feet, both in inches, both in ounces, whatever. You can't have feet and meters, ounces and yards. It's got to be all the same units to be considered a ratio. And a ratio is just a quotient or fraction in most cases. So the ratio is A over B as a fraction, or you'll also see it written as A to B with the colon in between, where the numerator would be the first term, the denominator is the second one. It's written in that form. And since a ratio is a quotient or a fraction, then that also means that the denominator or the B term cannot be 0. Right? Because if we put a 0 in the denominator, we call it what? Anybody? Undefined. It's undefined because we can't divide anything by 0, because we can't make 0 times another number equal anything but 0. All right, so then a proportion is an equation that equates two ratios. So in other words, it's an equation that sets two ratios equal to each other. And so in a proportion of A over B equals C over D, then A and D are going to be called the extremes. So the top left and the bottom right are the extremes. And B and C, the bottom left and the top right, are going to be called the means. So you got the extremes and the means. And then along with proportions, we've got two properties that go along with those. The one that is used most often whenever we deal with proportions is the cross product property, which says the product of the extremes equals the product of the means. So when we have A over B equals C over D, then if we use the cross product property, or in most cases you'll hear it called cross multiplying, then the A times D on the diagonal is going to be equal to B times C on the other diagonal. So A over D equals B over B times C. And then the reciprocal property tells us if the ratios are equal, then their reciprocals are also going to be equal. So if A over B equals C over D, then if we flip both of those fractions over, B over A would be equal to D over C. And so last little bit here, solve the following proportions. So in order to solve it, we use the cross product property, or you'll hear it called cross multiplying, multiplying on the diagonals. So for this one, we have 4 times 7 would equal x times 5. That's 28 equals 5x. Divided by the 5 on both sides. And 28 divided by 5 is going to be 5.6 equals x. So we just cross multiply, which then just gives us a basic algebra problem that then we solve for the x. So next one, same idea. Multiply on the diagonals. 30 times c is going to equal 5 times 14. So 30c equals 70. Divided by the 30. And c is going to equal 2.3333 repeating. Or in some cases, it may just ask you to give the answer in simplest fraction form. So simplest fraction form in this case would actually be more accurate, because it would just be divided by 10 on top and bottom, and you get 7/3. Right? So depending on what it asks for you, either one of those could be the answer. Now, the next one down there, same idea, just getting a little more complicated. Got the y in two different places. And so multiply 3 times y, gives us 3y. And then y plus 2 times 2. So we got that 2 outside the parentheses, because we're multiplying the 2 times the whole quantity y plus 2. So we're going to distribute that 2. 3y equals 2y plus 4. Subtract the 2y. And our y value is going to be 4. And the last example there, still same concept, just getting a little more difficult. Right? So still going to cross multiply. So 4 multiplies times the whole quantity, 7z minus 2. That's going to be equal to 2z plus 6 times 10. Distribute the 4. 28z minus 8. Distribute the 10 over here on the other side. Give us 20z plus 60. And solve for the z, subtract 20z from both sides. Eight z minus 8 equals 60. Add the 8 to both sides. Eight z equals 68. Divided by the 8. And so our z is going to be 8.5. Or if it wanted it in simplest fraction form, 68 over 8. They're both divided by 4. So in that case, it would be 17 over 2. So either one of those is a possible answer. 17 over 2 or 8.5. Questions, anybody?